All right.
Okay. Can you see my producer workbench, Charles?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Thank you, Alonzo. And just real quick, I can show everyone where when Charles talks about upcoming WebExes, when on Producer Workbench, in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see attend an event. And that only goes out about for the next week. But if you, let me turn off these notifications here, everyone. Hold on just a second. Maybe. If you go to see events, it will take you to entire month. So you can sometimes find things that, actually, maybe something that the whole practice isn't thinking about doing, but if you as an individual think there is something that you might find of interest, I do recommend going out here. Here's the one I was talking about, the IUL. It's going to be Kelly Halverson and Craig Schomer from our product development and actuary area. They're going to be talking about the IUL landscape. So a lot of good things that are going to be happening this month and next, as Charles already mentioned. What I wanted to do today is share with you some IUL information, and I thought then we would also go into the life design software and do our best to get through a couple illustrations. Like I system is being incredibly pokey, so I do apologize for that. Okay, let's just, on Producer Workbench, if we go look at the two IUL products that we have to offer, the side-by-side comparison right now is comparing Growth IUL 2 to the Value Plus IUL. Now, why is a little bit of a problem? In the state of New York, we do not have the Growth IUL 2. We still have the original Growth IUL. So what happens is we have a little bit of a tricky time with looking at side-by-side comparisons because the material doesn't reflect that. So I'm going to bring up an old one. Moment here. Okay, so you should be able to see my IUL comparison that has the Growth IUL alongside the Value Plus IUL. Now, I know some of you are outside of the area of New York. I know that for a fact. We've got, friends all over. But what I do want to make sure I'm doing is making sure, because there is a good amount of you that are in the state of New York, I want to make sure that we are doing a good job of explaining that original Growth IUL. So with that being said, the Growth IUL is an accumulation-focused product. So if you are looking at, clients that want that upside potential, they have a need for supplemental, let's say retirement income or some other type of supplemental income need down the road, a Growth IUL is going to be a product that you're going to want to look at. On the flip side of that, if your client is maybe more death benefit focused, cash value is maybe a secondary, focus to the sale, you would want to look at the Value Plus IUL. Again, both are IUL contracts. Both are going to have great upside potential. It's just the Growth has higher cap rates, so you're going to see more upside potential with the Growth product versus the Value Plus. Both of them are available up to age 80. You'll notice that our issue ages here do say that it's available up to 85. That is something that we never did go back to after the COVID world that we entered in 2020. We had stopped issuing above age 80 for insureds, and that is something that we are still holding to. So even though you're going to be able to see on illustrations that you could run an illustration, let's say for an 81-year-old, in fact, we are not issuing above age 80. So that is something, like I said, to be mindful of. We do offer a variety of index options on both of these contracts. There are a couple listed here. I had to find an old quick reference guide that had the growth IUL on it. A few of these indices are not available in New York. We do not have the BNP Paribas as one of our index choices in New York. So I want to be very, upfront and let you know that some of the crediting options are not available. For the most part, what a lot of our clients are interested in are the S&P 500 index options. We do have 1-year options, 2-year options. A little bit of a variety is good. We want people to make sure they're allocating to the index choices that are of interest to them. There is a credit instrument on that product. We have it on the growth IUL in New York, but not on the Value Plus. We do start in year 6 giving an additional 10% of index credits. That's something to keep in mind. Go ahead. Is there a question?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're kind of breaking up, but I don't know if it's just me or everybody else on the call.
No, it's breaking up a little bit.
I'm going to tell you, I don't have the best, that's why I'm not even on video. I don't have the best confidence in our screen sharing and our abilities. I was on a WebEx earlier today that the video and the audio was just not really up to. So this is my first Zoom call for today. I was on a WebEx earlier and we were having some issues. So my apologies. I don't know what else I can do on my end. I'm directly, tapped into the Zoom, so I'm not sure. Charles, I don't know if this is maybe one that's not going to have great recording capability if we are having audio problems, but I'll let you be the deciding factor of that.
Whatever you did, what you were saying came through clear. So I don't know what adjustment you made, but keep it there wherever you did.
I didn't do anything. Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Right now you sound
I did
clear.
Nothing. Yeah, I just kept talking. I didn't do anything.
Well, keep on talking.
And it might be, okay, well, it might be some of the screen share might interfere with our audio just a little bit. So as I'm changing screens, if that affects the audio some, I'll do my best maybe to keep some of that screen movement to a minimum. Let me go ahead and get out of this quick reference guide, because if we are getting audio problems, I'd rather just stay put on our Life Design screen and talk you through here. So what you're seeing here is our Life Design's illustration software. This is where you go to run any of our life insurance quotes. If you go into Universal and Index Life, which is the first drop down here, you're going to see that we have 2 different IUL contracts available and then a current assumption UL as well. Since I chose a client that was in the state of New York, that's why we're getting the growth index as an option. If I changed and was working on a case for Alonzo, then in his state, the growth 2 would be available. Remember that the products listed are going to be directly related to the state that you choose for your client. Now remember, the client state will always default to your home state. So for instance, if I'm in, Charles's illustration software, New York is going to be his default state, but I can change whatever state he's going to be running this particular illustration in for that particular client. You can change that state as long as obviously you're licensed to do business there. You can go ahead and select whatever state is needed. But again, for illustration purposes for today, I was going to stick with New York. So with the growth IUL, that's the product that we selected. The next drop down is going to be your rate class. And remember, field underwriting is an important part of this process. We don't want to be selecting Preferred Plus if we know for a fact our client has impairments that would kick them out of the Preferred Plus category. So I always say a little bit of field underwriting is definitely advantageous to quoting a more accurate rate class. We're going to go with standard non-tobacco for right now. For the face amount, we can do a variety of things. If you know what the client is wanting for a life insurance death benefit amount, leave it at input, and you can type whatever death benefit amount you're looking to sell that client, whatever their needs dictate. If they do not have a death benefit amount in mind, but maybe they have a premium in mind, we can do that as well. We can actually do a percentage of target. This is where I like to suggest we start, because if I have an individual that tells me, they are looking to spend, let's just say $500 a month. Well, I could put in input for premium, $500, and if I have the death benefit selected at target, it's going to give me a death benefit that has a target premium of $500 a month. Now, I'm doing a quick calc. I wanted to see if the quick calc would work with our lagging on our illustrations today. It doesn't look like it's being any quicker than just running a full-on illustration. Target premium, okay, here we go. So the face amount for a target premium of $6,000 a year, it's a little over $425,000 of death benefit for this 41-year-old gentleman that I have listed. Now, does that mean we have to put in a face of $425,000? Not necessarily. This is just what target premium is by. The higher the death benefit, the higher the target. Now, why is target important? Well, it's first of all, the actuarial target is what the actuaries determine. I don't want to say the ideal premium allocation, but it's one that commissions are based off of. It is one that the loading and the fees within the product is based off of. It's a good starting point. Now, you don't have to pay target. You can overfund this and pay more than target premium, and that's something that we see a lot of. So if you, for instance, said, well, $425,000 is the death benefit, you could just manually go input that, maybe just round that death benefit up. If you wanted to go up a little bit, you could go up. If you wanted to go down so you overfunded a little bit, we could just maybe, roll it down to $400,000. Now that's going to change that target, remember. The target is not going to be the $500 a month. It's going to be a premium that's a little bit less than that, but maybe we want to overfund this. Now, I do want to point out, if you want to overfund to the max capacity for any given death benefit, we do have a maximum non-MEC premium search if you're interested. If I chose $400,000 for my death benefit and said I wanted a maximum non-MEC premium, I'm going to go ahead and hit that quick calc button again and see what that tells me my premium is. The reason I'm not looking at full-on illustrations right now has been my computer problems. I'm trying to keep this as seamless as possible for the training. So what this told me now is our premium is going to go up to $653. That's because I asked to pay all years. So the maximum non-MEC is $653 a month. That is the maximum. Remember that the target is going to be less than that, because remember, target premium is based off of the death benefit. And in this particular situation, I told it the death benefit. I said it's $400,000, and that's what our death, and that's again what our target would be based off of. We can put in, again, if we know the dollar amount we want to pay, we know what target is, we know what the maximum is. Between a conversation with you and your client, you're more than able to come up with a premium that's palatable for the client, that does a good illustration. If you want any riders attached, we would go into this Riders tab over on the left-hand side. Maybe. See, this is the kind of lag we're having on our software. I knew, well, it did move. This is going to be the list of riders available for the growth IUL for this particular individual. We could do waiver, accidental death. He's too old for guaranteed insurability rider. We could add a child's rider, waiver specified premium. The early cash value rider is available. Supplemental coverage is not available in the state of New York. We could put term on for other insureds. And then the Care for Life rider and the Lifetime Income rider, those are always going to be pre-selected. Those are no-cost riders that we include automatically on our contracts. If we went back to the policy, over on the right-hand side of that screen, I want to show you, maybe, I clicked on policy. On the right-hand side of the screen, if this changes for us, it's going to give us how we would allocate our premium. This is going to be index choices, again, that you and your client can basically analyze. We do default to 100% in the capped S&P 500 one-year point-to-point. Right now, that illustrated rate is at 5.02%. You can see that based on this chart right here. A couple of other little buttons that you may not be familiar with is Death Benefit Option A, B, and C. Death Benefit Option A is a level death benefit. Death Benefit Option B is an increasing death benefit that increases each year by the cash value. Death Benefit Option C is also an increasing death benefit that increases each year by the premiums paid. The other buttons that you might see out here are going to be GPT, which stands for Guideline Premium Test, and CVAT, which stands for Cash Value Accumulation Test. These are ways to ensure that the policy is maintaining its IRS taxable guidelines as far as what maintains a life insurance contract. There are tax laws and guidelines that go into these contracts, and we have to abide by those rules and regulations. We do have two different tax laws that we can follow on this. GPT tends to be the most common, so that's why we have it defaulted. CVAT is another option available. Usually, unless you want to overfund beyond the guideline premium test, then I will sometimes pivot to the CVAT test. But what usually happens is later on in the policy, there's a little bit of a drag on the policy values when you select CVAT, so most individuals keep it at GPT. With this being said, if we want to look at an illustration, we're going to go ahead and click that preview button. I'm going to let that load for a second, and we'll go through an illustration. I'm going to pause really quick, just take a quick drink. My apologies. All right, we'll see if this populates. Any questions while this is populating?
Not at the moment.
Thanks, Alonzo. I can always count on you to chime in for me.
We'll might
see
have
if the
a
illustration
Kristi.
populates.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is Gilda. I might have some questions about like how you overfund
Sure.
overfunding and what does that mean? Because I know that's something that's become very popular in the industry, but I'm not sure if I really understand the benefit of people doing that, customers doing that.
Absolutely. Sure, sure. And I am still getting a white screen, so I'm going to give it another minute, and then I don't want, like I said, I had a feeling with system problems that we were having this morning that we might run into this issue. I'm going to let this set a second and see if this illustrates for me here in a second.
That's fine.
But to answer your question, I'm going to answer your question. Overfunding, what that will do is give the client additional premium dollars that can go to work for them within the account value of their contract. Because when you buy an IUL contract, the costs associated with that policy go against truly what the death benefit is. Because think about that. When we have cost of insurance, that cost of insurance goes directly, it's relative to what they call the net amount at risk, which is directly related to the death benefit. The higher the death benefit, the higher the internal costs of a contract. That makes sense, right? Because if you buy $1 million policy, your cost of purchasing that $1 million contract is going to be twice as much, right, than if you purchased a $500,000 policy. Because of those costs, when people talk about overfunding, is they talk about taking something closer, I'm not saying this would work exactly, but something closer to the $1 million premium and putting it into a $500,000 contract. Why? So they have more money available for that upside potential with the cash value. So again, overfunding you're right, it's huge in the industry right now. The one thing I always want to tell people about is don't forget the importance. I'm going to close this screen because it is not working for me. I'm going to try it again in a second. What I don't want to do is have overfunding be such a focal point that we also forget that it's life insurance first and foremost. Because remember, I have never, ever talked to a beneficiary that told me they were left too much of a death benefit. I've never had a beneficiary after, a death claim come back and say, you know what, I really didn't need this full amount, or, it was really too much. I've never had that happen. And I say that kind of tongue in cheek on purpose, because when you're designing your IUL illustrations, like I said, we can put a minimum death benefit and a maximum premium. And I think there's definitely, a good reason to look at those numbers. But then once you know what the minimums and the maximums are, I do feel that it's worth looking at that overall death benefit and making sure that we're planning for the longevity of the client's lifetime to make sure that death benefit holds true. Because even though this 41-year-old male, he's got $500 he can put into this contract, $400,000 is toward the lower end of what it would purchase, let's say, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to have a need for a higher death benefit down the road. And sometimes those higher death benefits really don't have as much impact as a person may think on the future cash value growth. So when you talk about overfunding, it's basically taking, like I said, one of two things. You either take the death benefit and ask to max fund it by doing this max non-MEC solve right here, or we do it the opposite way. We input a premium and we ask for a death benefit that's the minimum non-MEC. We can do this either way. If $500 is what this gentleman wants to do, the absolute minimum he can go to is $305. Now that death benefit, again, that target premium is listed right here. $42.98 annually is the target premium. So that's just a little over 300 and, 300 and some dollars a month. So we want to just be mindful that we can do a minimum non-MEC for a death benefit. I just always want to make sure that we're not, totally foregoing making sure the death benefit is an appropriate death benefit for the client's lifetime. Does that make sense, Gilda?
Absolutely. That makes I wanted to take a picture of what you just did, actually, because I thought that was fantastic.
Okay.
Do you mind if you just put it up? Actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I actually can understand what it means now.
Yep.
Kristi,
go ahead. Charles, were you saying something? Or I'm sorry, Derek?
This is Derek, how are you? Good afternoon.
Hi, Derek.
Happy
Hi.
and
Happy New Year to you.
Can I ask
Thank you.
one question? Using the same scenario whereby you're using 500 as the premium and you lower the death benefit, could you use option B, and would that have any effect on the death benefit, because that's increasing? I know it probably would eat up some of that extra premium, but wouldn't that increase the death benefit going forward?
It does. It absolutely does. But what it doesn't do is affect your target premium, Derek. So you're absolutely right. If we put this on option B, it will increase the death benefit, as you just mentioned, by the cash value each and every year. And that is going to increase over time. Great point. What I'm also saying is also don't forget that sometimes we want to increase the death benefit starting day one as well. That was my point, is that yes, absolutely option B is going to increase the death benefit over time. But if we change it to option B, we do that right now, just so you know, when we look at these numbers, again, I'm not doing a full-on illustration. Remember, I'm having system problems. What that did is I can now lower the death benefit even lower for that same $500. But look what that did to the target premium. Now we have completely sacrificed target premium by doing this for this 41-year-old. Again, I'm not saying what's right and wrong, because this hypothetical 41-year-old client is not my client. I just wanted to have a real frank and honest conversation with everyone on the line today about making sure when we're doing minimums and maximums that we're looking at the whole picture. You know, it was, a conversation that Charles and I had last week that made me think that sometimes we might kind of go past this point maybe quicker than maybe I should. Charles didn't tell me I went too quick on it. This was my 2 cents worth. I feel like it's something important to spend a little bit of time on. Because Derek, like you said, if we do minimum non-MEC for a death benefit on option B, it is really going to lower that death benefit, which, to Gilda's point, the client wants to overfund. This is going to give them the most cash value potential we can give them. But by just changing it to option A instead of doing option B, I just upped the initial death benefit from $100,000 to $300,000, and I changed that target premium just by doing that one little search. I changed the target premium from, what was it, like 100, what was $1,400 a year? That's not that much, right? $100 and some dollars a month target to over $350 target. And the reason I want to say that is because I want to make sure that we're all also looking at, like I said, everyone involved, because the target premium is an important component of all of our livelihoods. So I always want to make sure that I don't ever completely ignore what's important to making benefits and making conference and, just normal, pay cycle to pay cycle amounts. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that these are some of the illustration differences that we can do. And again, same $500. I mean, this gentleman told, me hypothetically, I want to overfund and I want to do $500 a month. Well, I still did a minimum death benefit for him. It's just doing the difference, just one little difference between option A and option B. I wanted to be mindful of what that does to your target premium. So everyone's making great points. This is all, and that's why I think the truth and the best product design is really then ultimately a conversation between you and your client.
That's what I was going to say, Kristi. It's based on really the client and what their goals are, right? Because if they're looking just to overfund and to have it more as an investment versus a death benefit, then that might, work better for them. But it just all depends on the client, right? And what they're looking to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So great conversation. Now, the other product I want to make sure I don't completely ignore is, now, not so much always for a 41-year-old, but this is the client I have on the screen, so I'm just going to change the product.
Hey, Kristi,
I want to make sure.
Kristi, before you do that,
sir.
can you show how?
Absolutely.
Can you show how if you have a client that say, hey, I want to overfund it, but I just want to overfund it for 10 years. Say you have like a, 45-year-old or a 55-year-old that say, hey, I just want to put as much money as this as possible until I'm age 65 or, full retirement age. Can you
Yep.
illustrate how to get the illustration to show?
Yes, I will. And it's a real easy fix. What we're going to use is this to age down here underneath this quick calc button. This to age is going to tell the software how long I want to pay this premium. So if I wanted to do a 10 pay as a 41-year-old, I could put age 60 or 51 in there. If I wanted to pay to 65, I could put age 65 in there. The minimum non-met, remember, we can still utilize function. We can toggle between A and B, whatever's going to be most advantageous for our client. I can't show an illustration. I'm going to try it again. When I hit preview before, remember we got stuck on that white screen, so I can't. Oh, wait, is the white screen going to change? I am so sorry that it's actually populating this time. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, this is what I wanted before. So here's our GraphQL, and real quick, I am going to get to showing you the limited funding, but I don't want to gloss over the importance of the sales illustration, because on this sales illustration, it really works as a brochure as well as a sales tool, because this shows you in this gray box really what that client is purchasing. And remember, I did min non-mec again, but I definitely pick option A. That's what I wanted to start with. So I have that $305,000 starting death benefit amount. So this gentleman's a little over $300,000. He has flexible premium, cash value accumulation, and then the Care for Life rider. The Care for Life illustration is a big part of the illustration. It does, remember, include that no cost benefit. It gives the client 3 buckets of money: one for critical illness, one for chronic illness, and one for terminal illness. Most 40-year-olds have, eight, parents or grandparents that they've seen maybe go into long-term care facilities or have some of these maybe critical illnesses occur. I don't recommend glossing past. It's definitely something that people like to know is an asset that they have available if they need. If I go down to the ledger, this is what Charles asked me to do. If this individual was only going to pay to 65, I've got the illustration software cutting off at age 65. Now, this cash value right here, $213,000, is what he has accumulated at that point in time. I did start the death benefit at option A. To Derek's point, I could actually flip that to B, do that to B. I would still flip it to A when the funding was done, which in this particular situation would be age 65. So I'm going to do an increasing.
Can you turn on the income rider as well? So you can show them that?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I sure can. And then if I go do the income rider as well at age 65, this is going to be a full-on illustration. Now I'm getting excited that the illustration populated. I'm telling you, before our call, I could not get illustrations populated all. So I'm glad something must have started in our website. So what we're going to do now is go down to the ledger page, and I'll get lifetime income rider in just a second. So remember, I've got that basically $100,000 death benefit. We're paid 65. Now I have a cash value of 244. Remember when I started at death benefit option A and left it level all years? We had about 213,000 at our age 65. Please keep in mind, this is just assuming a 5.02% return. That is hypothetical. If you go to the next page of the illustration, it will give you the 20-year historicals of all the indices that are available on this particular contract. I had chose the S&P 500 one-year point. It has a 7.6% cap right now. The 5-year average is 4.5. 10-year average is 5.3. The 15-year at 507. And the 20-year average is 527. So us illustrating 502, that's not actually that far off, I think, from a nice average rate to illustrate. Charles mentioned the lifetime income rider. Let me just this page right here. The lifetime income rider is a free rider that's automatically attached to the growth IUL illustration. If the client is interested, they are able to turn on the lifetime income rider anytime after the 10th policy year. We happen to turn this on at age 65. Remember, we saw that cash value had just hit what, $244,000 hypothetically of value. If the client was interested, he could turn on lifetime income rider at that time, get $1,300 a month for the rest of his life. That is, again, in lieu of doing a traditional withdrawal to basis and loan strategy. He can do withdrawals and loans. That's absolutely not a problem. That's a lot of how these policies are illustrated for individuals is to take loans. We just like to show that we give an extra benefit called the lifetime income rider. And if it fits the client's needs and objectives when they're age 65, this gentleman might want to turn it on. Never have to worry again about managing the cash value of the policy, get his $1,300 a month for the rest of his life. Just know that once you turn that on, that benefit does go down to the minimum death benefit year after year after year. But what's nice about it is it will never lapse. It will never go to zero. So that you'll always have a little bit of a death benefit, always have a lifetime income. And again, it's a nice sales feature that we added to these IUL illustrations.
Is the income?
That's
all right,
tax
I need
free.
another drink.
That's
I was
tax free.
gonna-
Heck yeah, it's tax free.
That's what I was gonna say.
Heck
Is
yeah.
it tax free?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's tax free. It doesn't.
Because
That's
what we're
great.
doing is,
That's excellent.
yeah, we're treating them as loans. Yeah, we're treating them as loans. So the treatment is a tax-free distribution. Now, what is nice about it, and I'm going to say it again, you can't lapse the policy by turning on the lifetime income rider. Now, are you going to have as high of a death benefit as you did right before you turned on the income? Absolutely not. That death benefit takes a dive. I'm being very honest with you. But we are saying that this is a gentleman that really, it wasn't a death benefit focused sale anyway, right? It was a cash value focused sale. So having built up that death benefit over time is great, but if he's now ready to take that asset and turn that into lifetime income, he's got that available.
Awesome. Kristi, before you move on, and this may be a little bit outside of what we're fully doing or kind of high level. Can you speak to single premiums / premium financing on these policies? And I'm pretty sure a single premium makes it a MEC. Am I incorrect in that?
Well, you are correct. If you put a single premium into this contract directly, you would violate the 7-pay premium and it would MEC. Premium thing is, yeah, that is just out of my my wheelhouse. We do have an advanced planning department, though. Maybe sometime down the road, Charles, that might be a great topic for you to pursue through our advanced planning department if you wanted to host just a premium finance only discussion. But what that does is basically, you start looking at lenders, as Alonzo, I know you know, to help fund the dollars on this. So, and this is the type of product that's used for premium financing, absolutely.
I have a question, please.
Yes, sir.
The question is, if the lifetime rider option that we just discussed if let's say the person wanted to turn it on at 65, but at 65, their financial situation is great, and they're like, you know what, I don't need to use this now. Are they locked in, or they turn it off, or they have to take it?
This is what's great about that rider, Derek. You're not locked into anything. You're only locked into it if you decide to turn it on. You can't really unravel it once you start the lifetime income. I always tell people it's kind of like when you pick an annuitization option on an annuity or you know, some type of annuity payout. It's very similar to that. But you do one, just because you have this rider, that doesn't mean you have to use it, nor does it mean you have to use it at any said point in time. The minimum to turn it on is the 10th year. You cannot use the lifetime income rider prior to the 10th year. That's the only thing that you have to work within as far as confines. But no, you would, if he was turned 65 and he's doing good and he doesn't want to turn on the lifetime income, he can leave this policy as is. He doesn't have to, he was only going to fund it to 65 anyway, so he can just let this set. He can let this accumulate. He can turn that income on later. He could take a traditional loan or not, or just leave it. It's completely up to him. That's the flexibility of this type of a product.
Beautiful option.
Absolutely. I want to leave time for Q&A. What else can I answer for questions?
Are we touching annuities all in today's session?
Not today, Alonzo, but if you have some questions for me, I know you know how to get a hold of me. Definitely reach out. We've got, outside of New York, just for the good of everyone on the line, we do have equity indexed annuities outside of the state of New York. We have an accumulation 7 product, which is accumulation focused, and then we have an income 10, which has a GLWB rider attached to it. So annuities outside of New York, equity indexed annuities outside of New York.
I have another question.
Thank you.
Yes, Derek.
I've always had a little problems with IUL, with non-guarantee values. You know, where you see cash value guaranteed at 65 or at a specific age, and then you have the non-guarantee column. I remember once I showed this column to a client, and they were like, "This is not guaranteed." So suppose when I get to this age, this amount that you're showing me in the non-guarantee section, I can't get that. How do I explain that?
Well, here is the deal. It is a conversation you have to have with a client. If they want a contract that's fully guaranteed, IUL might not be a good fit for them. You might want to look at one of our whole life contracts, just to be honest with you.
I agree.
This is something, when you look at a risk continuum, the IULs are not for everyone. I'm going to be very honest with you. An IUL is not the best for everyone, because if you get down to this part of the illustration that Derek is talking about, we've got zeros, and you have to explain that yes, the zero may not be probable, but it's possible. What has to happen for this guaranteed column to be true? You have to have a 0% return every year for the life of the contract, starting day one. Is that possible?
No.
In the crazy world that we live in?
Probably.
Maybe a zero, you know what I mean? A zero, I can't say that it's not a possibility, because I believe in about every possibility. The other thing you have to know that has to happen for this guaranteed column to be true is that the company has to start charging the maximum allowable cost of insurance that we can. We have parameters that we have to work within the states. And when we filed this product, we filed it with a current lineup of fees and charges. If we break that, we have to first of all go apply to the state to charge the maximums. So is it possible that the company starts charging the most we can possibly charge for coverage? Again, we live in a world of possibilities.
Hey,
But is it
Kristi,
probable? Probably not.
hey, Kristi, would you mind, like, if you do have that client, like, if we're on a sales call now, Derek, and I'm showing this, and then that client does go to the zeros, and we're saying, well, most likely won't happen, but then you have a client saying, well, this you have it there in writing, right? And they have to sign to it, right? So what I would do at this point, Kristi, I would pivot to the value plus before you go whole life, right? You can
Yep.
pivot.
Mhm.
If you could show Derek how to value plus, because at least this has a guarantee to age 90. So you're not stuck because you have it there and they have to sign to it, Derek. And the client's like, well, I have to sign to it, but you're saying that's not possible, but it's there in writing.
Mhm. Yeah, precisely. So you go to the value.
Yep. So let
And then,
me, that's a great segue.
and then Nicole had her hand up. She had a question as well.
Okay. And I didn't see that. When you do the Value Plus IUL, I asked for a long-term no-lapse premium. We can actually dial that to pay for a certain number of years. That's something else I want to point out on this Value Plus product. I'm going to leave this 65, and we're just going to put in, see what it would cost for $500,000. So, Derek, to Charles's point, before going to whole life, what I was talking about, if they want to see guaranteed values, guaranteed cash values, I pivot to whole life. If they want to see guaranteed death benefits, I definitely look at Value Plus before pivot to whole life, definitely. Because if we go down to the illustration, now all I've done is I've asked for a $500,000 benefit. I asked for what we call the long-term no lapse. So this is what Charles was talking about. Even though the cash value goes to zero, look how I have an age 90 guaranteed on the death benefit column, on the death benefit column. This is death benefit protection product, first and foremost. Value Plus IUL is what I personally go to if somebody wants death benefit keys, or if you have somebody, and this is just the world according to Kristi, that this is not a firm line here. Typically, I'm going to say clients, I'm going to say my own age. I'm 55. I'm going to say 55 plus. The pricing with the Value Plus IUL to me is more attractive for my age group and above than the growth is starting at my age and above, in my opinion. This is if I was purchasing it. If you were showing this to a 55 plus person in IUL, I like what the Value Plus has to show. You can still run that growth, don't get me wrong. I'm just giving you my personal pivot is when I go to the Value Plus.
Got you.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, who else had a question? Gilda, did you have another question?
Nicole had her hand up. Nicole, you there?
I did not. I can't see any hands.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. What's
Yeah,
up?
that's okay.
What's up?
Hi. I just wanted to know because I have a client that is 59 years old, and she just has $20,000, and she wanted to invest in something where she can get some sort of income and out of it. She already has an insurance, which is a term policy that is about, 500,000, but she has that 20,000 that she wants to invest so that at least she can get growth. I like the fact that there is the income option underneath it, but if we actually do that one-time payment, what product is there for that one-time payment?
Yeah, that's a little tricky. That's a little tricky with life insurance because, first of all, the lifetime income rider is not going to be available on MEX. We have to keep our contract as a non-MEX status to get that rider. So to dump, and this was to Alonzo's point earlier, if we just dump in $20,000, we can do that on a life insurance contract, but it's going to MEX the contract. So what does that mean? Still going to have a tax-free death benefit to the beneficiary, but any income that you would want to possibly get off of that contract would be treated more like an annuity, which is taxable gain. So the way that some people work around that, and again, everybody has their own school of thought on this. I do have some people that might put that $20,000 into a limited pay immediate annuity. We've got a small side account here at Ameritas that some people look at. I don't know if I'm going to be very honest, starting at age 59, starting with $20,000, I don't know if she's going to see the kind of return using an IUL that would really be that attractive to her. Now, this is just me off the top of my head without actually running the illustration. Again, we can't put that $20,000 in as a lump sum without it mecking.
Understood. So you're thinking that it's best that it goes into an annuity where she can literally, see some sort of growth and then also get some sort of income out of it.
Well, again, I'll let Charles speak to his recommendation. I'd like to hear his thoughts on it as well. I just know that you're going to have a heck of a time getting enough money into the IUL starting at age 59 to have a decent return. Because please keep this in mind, IULs take a good 10 to 15 years of accumulation to really show something impactful.
Agree.
No, Cole, you talking about one time 20 or 20,000 annually?
No, that's one time, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Does New York have a SPIA?
We do. Yep.
Yes,
You can run a
yes,
SPIA in New York.
Okay, so Nicole, I would
Thank
probably
you for
do a
asking me
SPIA.
that, Alonzo.
No problem.
Yeah.
Nicole, I would probably
I've
do a
got this.
SPIA.
Okay.
For example, I
there.
have a client in Connecticut who is 70 years old. And she was like, "Oh, I want something that pays a dividend." I showed her, she's trying to put the absolute minimum, $25,000. And I showed her at $25,000, you're going to get $125 a month for life. So if you illustrate the SPIA at 59, it'll be a decent amount, but it probably won't even be as much as that $125 because the annuity is based on your life expectancy.
Okay. All right. Got it. So I guess we still have to run some sort of illustration, especially probably on the annuity side, because $125 or $200 a month may not be that attractive.
Well, sometimes we also have to educate the client that the time that they're doing these things, because of things like social media, everybody says you can put 4 cents in and get $1 million. And while that sounds nice on TikTok, it's not true.
So real.
Oh my God. I know. And when did TikTok become where all of our clients go to get their financial advice? I'm like, oh, it is a sad day. It is a sad day sometimes, let me tell you.
And Instagram. You should see my Instagram. Every day I'm like, Jesus, these guys.
Oh.
So this was great. The IUL, unfortunately, we ran out of time. I mean, we can, we got stuck with the illustration, but the IUL is definitely a asset class. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you as an agency, actually the industry, there was an explosion in IUL sales last year. I saw a report from LIMRA. I don't have it in front of me, but also the agency, our IUL production, I think we was up 500%. Over the prior year.
You guys knocked it out. Yeah, you guys knocked it out of the park last year. That's for sure. So we are set up. I mean, we can build off that momentum that you all got going in 2023. And I expect 2024 to be an absolute banner year. Because, again, I feel like there was so much buildup throughout 23 within your agency. And, I mean, you guys are all rock stars. So I expect great things. I expect great things. Everybody needs to, hey, I'm being serious. Everybody needs to earn their spot for Hawaii, because the 24, let me make sure I say this right. In 25, they're going to the Big Island.
Yeah.
And so you qualify for that. You qualify for that in 24.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody needs to take their peeps to Hawaii on the company dime. That's my opinion. Every single one of you.
Thank you.
My wife is already talking. She
Yes.
mentioned that. She mentioned that yesterday. I'm like, oh gosh.
Got to get to the Big
Get on
Island.
it.
Yeah, she's already
Get
on
on it. Well,
So Kristi,
I
this is
mean,
great. We can
seriously.
Yeah, Kristi, this is great. You can help me with a follow-up with the premium finance WebEx. So I don't know who I would reach out for that. And then we definitely want to do a part 2 on the index annuity. I thought we would
Okay.
have time to go there, but well, we didn't. Got follow-ups on that.
Oh my gosh, you did have index annuity for this. I am so sorry. I didn't, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to blame COVID brain last week. When I was getting all this set up in my calendar, I only put IUL. So yes, and you know what?
It
It's
is a
actually,
lot.
you're
It's a
right though,
lot.
Charles. It's a lot to cover. It is.
It's a
That's
lot.
a lot to cover in one WebEx.
Yeah.
So I do owe you a second. I apologize. I did not even have that on my radar screen.
That's
But
okay.
we can totally talk index annuity on another call. And yes, I'll get you hooked up with Wendell, and we'll see if he wants to do a premium financing WebEx for you.
That'd be great. I really
All right.
appreciate that. Hey, thank you so much, everyone. I'm here at the office. If you need me, I'll be here, and have a great day. And thank you so much, Kristi. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Kristi. Wish me luck,
All right.
Charles. I do
Thank
my
you,
test for
everyone.
CRC tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, good
Good
luck
luck.
to
Thank you.
everyone. All right. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.